Revealed, incredible way I created life-changing space after my daughter-in-law excluded me from my own family. Mary Johnson had always been the heart and soul of her family. A humble widow at 62, she poured her love into raising her children and stood firmly beside her late husband, a war veteran cherished by all. But recently, something had shifted. Gatherings that once filled her home with laughter became scarce. Her daughter-in-law, Karen, began to shut her out of family events, each holiday and birthday a stark reminder of her isolation. Mary sat alone in her own kitchen, her heart heavy with unspoken love and sorrow. As tears streamed down her cheeks, she scrolled through old photos, memories that felt both warm and chilling now. Christmases spent with a full table were replaced by empty silence. The ache was profound. It was as if the essence of family she had nurtured had slipped through her fingers like grains of sand. What had she done to be cast aside? Each missed moment felt like a dagger, and with each slice, the joy of being a grandmother faded. One miserable afternoon, heavy clouds hung over Iowa, echoing her own heartache. Karen stormed into the house, her face flushed with frustration. "You need to move out, Mary. You're just not part of this anymore," she declared, her words sharp and cold. The world tilted. Mary felt her breath hitch, the air thick with betrayal. The home they built together, filled with love, now felt like a prison, walls closing in around her. But in that moment, something awakened inside her, a flicker of determination. Inspired by the resilience of those around her, Mary resolved to transform the abandoned barn on her property. It became clear that she couldn't bury herself in misery, she would create a sanctuary for community connections. It wasn't just about her, it was about everyone who felt alone. She rallied friends and neighbors, everyone chipping in to revitalize the old wood and rusty roof. Little by little, laughter echoed through the barn, joy spilling out like sunlight. Games, classes, and potlucks turned it into a vibrant hub, a place of belonging. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue, but even as the barn thrived, tension with Karen simmered beneath the surface. In a heated confrontation, Karen accused Mary of distracting herself, masking the pain of exclusion with this new project. "This isn't about you finding a purpose, it's about avoiding reality," she shouted. Each word stung, cutting deeper than any knife. Mary's heart sank. How could Karen not see that this place was a bridge, not a barrier? Standing firm, Mary faced Karen, her chest tight with suppressed emotion. Tears filled her eyes as she attempted to bridge the chasm that had formed between them. Could they repair what was broken? In that dim barn, glowing with life and hope, Mary felt something shift within her, a realization that they were both hurting. As the sun dipped below the horizon, illuminating the vibrant sanctuary, Mary found herself at a crossroads. Would she fight for her family's love and reclaim her place, or would she let resentment dim the light she had ignited in her community? The tension in the barn hung thick, like the last heavy notes of a long-forgotten song. Mary could see the disappointment etched into Karen's face, reflecting a mix of rage and despair. The air crackled, making it hard for Mary to breathe. Here they were, two women trapped in a cycle of hurt, both wanting to connect but feeling utterly lost. "Karen," Mary began, her voice shaking but resolute. "I know things have changed, but I'm trying to build something here that can help us all. This barn isn't just mine, it's a space for the community, a place where we can gather and heal. I thought maybe it could help us, too." Karen crossed her arms tightly and looked away. "Heal? You think this barn will fix everything? It won't erase the way you've been pushed aside. We're supposed to be a family." Her words dripped with bitterness. "I'm not trying to erase anything," Mary insisted, her heart pounding. I want us to come together, to find our way back to one another. I miss you, and I miss the family we used to be. Karen's expression softened momentarily, but the walls she built were high. You say that, but every time you throw an event here, it feels like a celebration of what I've lost instead of an invitation to join you. Mary absorbed that, her heart aching as she recognized the truth in Karen's words. Every potluck, every game night had they unintentionally reinforced the distance she hated so much. A revelation washed over her like a gentle rain. If she wanted connection, she needed to invite Karen into this new world, not just witness it from the edge. Maybe I haven't been clear, Mary said softly, hope creeping back into her voice. This space was meant to bring us together, not drive us apart. I want you to be part of it all, to help shape it, to help shape us. Karen hesitated, the fire in her eyes flickering. Just then, a soft laugh broke through the barn walls, the neighboring children bringing in flowers they had picked to surprise Mary. Both women turned, and for an instant, the weight of their argument lifted. The sight of joyous, innocent laughter brought a tear to Mary's eye. See, she gestured to the kids, it's happening. We can create something beautiful from this mess. If we can't find our way back to family, maybe we can redefine what it means to be one together. A long silence stretched between them, filled with unspoken words and possibilities. Karen finally inhaled deeply, her face softening. I don't want to lose you, Mary, but it's hard. That's okay, Mary replied gently. It's hard for me too. Let us take our time. Let us start small. As they moved toward each other, a glimmer of understanding sparked in the room. Mary knew this was a turning point. They were not out of the woods yet, but the path was clear. Just then, the barn door swung open, and in walked Jacob, her son, who had been quietly observing from afar. Hey, Mom. I was hoping I could help out with the next event, he said, glancing between the two women. Mary's heart leapt. Hope intertwined with new resolve. Perhaps they could rebuild their family, layer by layer, event by event, but as Jacob approached, Mary noticed something flicker in Karen's eyes. Was that envy or uncertainty? She couldn't quite tell, but a chill slithered down her spine. What was this new dynamic brewing just under the surface? Mary took a breath, ready for the next challenge. She had reignited a spark between herself and Karen, but how could they involve Jacob without further complicating matters? Could this moment of reconciliation lead to a deeper bond, or would it fracture the fragile new beginnings they were trying to forge? As questions loomed, Mary couldn't shake the feeling that the journey to heal their family was only just beginning. The chatter of the children faded as the door creaked shut behind Jacob. He stood there, a mix of eagerness and uncertainty in his wide, bright eyes. What is going on? He asked, sensing the heavy atmosphere. Just, a misunderstanding, Karen said, her voice clipped. She forced a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. Mary could see the unease brewing between them, the fragile truce they had just started to establish now seemingly at risk. Mary stepped forward, drawing Jacob's attention. I'm so glad you want to help. We're planning a community gathering for the fall. It could bring us all together. Everyone would love your ideas. Jacob nodded. That's cool. I've been working on some plans at school. Maybe we could do a pumpkin patch theme or something. Sounds great. Mary beamed, excitement pulsing through her. But she could feel Karen's tense posture as she watched. How could they be moving forward if Karen felt left out? Are you sure you want to do it here, though? Karen asked, her voice more brittle than before. I thought this place was about your new beginnings, your community. Karen. Mary interjected, trying to keep her voice from rising. That's not what I meant. I want this to be our project. Yours, mine, and Jacob's. Maybe you could lead a part of it. Share your ideas. Karen's eyes flashed with something defiance or skepticism, maybe both. Led what? She snapped. I haven't even been involved in these new beginnings you talk about. I'm not part of your little story. Let's make it our story, Jacob said, interjecting, sensing the strain. I mean, it doesn't have to be just one person's thing. We all can share ideas, right? Mary felt a flicker of hope at Jacob's words. They could pool their strengths, connect, and maybe even transform the unresolved tension among them into something productive. Yes. Exactly that, she said, giving her son a warm glance. Let us brainstorm together. You both have amazing ideas. Karen's expression softened slightly, the fight in her eyes dimming but still hesitant. I just don't want this to be a project where I'm told what to do or how to feel, she replied. I want to feel like I belong, like my voice is heard. You're right, Mary admitted. I've been so focused on moving forward that I haven't given you the space to find your role. It's important that we all feel like we contribute. For a moment, silence enveloped the barn, the weight of words hanging in the air. Mary could barely breathe, praying that Karen might let down her walls, if only just a little. Okay, Karen finally relented, her tone cautious. I'll think about it. But I need to feel like this is for all of us, not just a charity event. Jacob nodded eagerly. It can be our event. A family event. And it can be the start of a real, new beginning. Mary smiled, her heart swelling as she saw a glimmer of agreement in Karen's eyes. Was it the spark of connection returning? She hoped so. She took a breath, ready to suggest a first step, but before she could, a soft voice piped up from the barn entrance. It was one of the little girls from the neighborhood, wide-eyed and clutching a small bouquet of wildflowers. Can I help too? The unexpected innocence of the moment cut through the tension, causing all three to soften. A pang of clarity hit Mary. Sometimes healing families required the simplicity of shared joy through others, the laughter of children, the little moments that reminded them of what truly mattered. Yes, Mary said, feeling a rush of warmth flow through her. Absolutely. We love that. But deep down, uncertainty lingered. Could a gathering lead to healing? Then came another challenge. How could they each confront their feelings, redefine family, while risking the bond they were beginning to forge? The more Mary looked at Karen, the more she felt the stakes rising. What if the ghosts of their past refused to fade? As she gazed around the barn filled with laughter and hope, Mary knew that change was on the horizon, but she couldn't ignore the knots tightening in her chest. Could this fragile alliance withstand the storms of the past, or would it break free instead, reuniting them anew? The soft laughter of the children was like a balm on the heavy atmosphere. Mary watched as the little girl with the bouquet skipped forward, her eyes sparkling with innocence and excitement. I can help, she repeated, her enthusiasm infectious. Jacob grinned widely, the initial tension melting as the girl stood expectantly before them. What's your name? He asked her. Emily. She chirped, proud of her introduction. And I picked these flowers for the gathering. That simple gesture somehow made everything feel lighter. Mary's heart soared as she gazed at Emily, then at Jacob, who was already gathered around the girl with excitement about the petals draped over her tiny arms. The weight of uncertainty dimmed just a little. Karen, despite her reservations, couldn't help but crack a smile watching them. Those are beautiful flowers, Emily, she said quietly, her tone softer. What do you think we should do with them? Emily beamed, her imagination running wild. We can decorate tables with them. And we can make flower crowns for everyone. Mary exchanged glances with Karen, seeing a flicker of interest in her eyes. What do you think? Mary asked cautiously, hoping to keep Karen engaged. Flower crowns sound fun and colorful, Karen replied, testing the idea on her tongue. Everyone loves flowers. The small shift gave Mary hope, compelled by the sincerity in Karen's voice. Jacob jumped in. And pumpkin decorations. We could have little contests for the best ones. Everyone can vote. Yeah. Emily agreed, clapping her hands. And we can do games too. Like a scavenger hunt. Now that's a solid idea, Karen said, finally warming to the idea. Mary felt her heart lift a bit more. If they could focus on the kids, maybe they could set aside some of their own heavy feelings for a little while. Mary stepped closer to Karen, her voice gentle. See? This can be a celebration for all of us, a chance to connect and just share joy. It'll be something we all create together. Karen nodded slowly, the barriers around her beginning to soften. I guess I can help organize some games and activities. Great. Jacob said, his energy infectious. We need to get everyone talking and sharing ideas. This is going to be so cool. As plans began to unfold, laughter filled the barn once again, the air thick with hope. Mary allowed herself to feel different optimistic. With each new idea tumbling out, she watched as Karen actively participated, her eyes shining. The tentative alliance was beginning to feel real, but as they talked more about the details, a thought nagged at Mary. Although the children were bringing them together, they were still holding on to their fears. What would happen when the festivities were over? Would they go back to being strangers wrapped in unresolved pasts? The crack in the foundation of their newfound bond gave her pause. Would the past loom over them still? How could they truly share their lives when old scars buried deeper than any flower crown might show? Just then, the barn door creaked open again, revealing another familiar face, Jenna, the neighbor who had been distant lately. She stood there, uncertain, as if she were afraid to interrupt. I heard about the gathering. Can I join in too? Suddenly, the momentum shifted. Jenna's presence pulled Mary into a whirlpool of insecurities. Would everyone's past collide in a way that shattered this delicate moment? Mary's thoughts raced as she faced her. Of course you can help. She replied with a smile that felt forced. But deep down, a storm brewed. The next gathering would need more than just flowers and games. It would demand honesty and vulnerability. Would they be able to face their ghosts together, or would the gathering expose too much? As the sunlight began to dim and the laughter echoed against the barn walls, the question lurked in the air, were they ready to embrace the past, or would it continue to haunt them? Jenna took a hesitant step inside, the wooden floor creaking beneath her feet. Her eyes scanned the room, briefly flickering over the children before landing back on Mary, searching for acceptance. With so many emotions swirling, Mary could sense the weight of Jenna's past seeping into the atmosphere. Hi, Jenna, Mary said, attempting to infuse warmth into her voice despite her inner turmoil. We're just planning some fun activities for the gathering. It would be great to have you on board. Thanks. Jenna's unease was palpable as she edged closer. I know I haven't been around much lately. Things have been complicated. Mary felt a mirror to her own struggles reflected in Jenna's eyes. They had all been facing their own battles, and life had somehow pushed them apart. Tell me about it. It's hard keeping up when we're all so far apart. Karen chimed in, her voice surprisingly steady. Maybe we can all work together to make this gathering special for the kids, Jacob suggested brightly, sensing the tension. Emily giggled, oblivious to the underlying current, and announced, let us all make flower crowns now. Suddenly, the air shifted again, infused with a burst of laughter and childlike joy. The children practically ignored the whispers of adult worries as they tugged at their parents' sleeves, urging them to join in. With Emily staring wide-eyed and hopeful, Mary felt a shift in the room. She turned to Karen and Jacob, nodding. Let us do it then. We'll start here and let the kids lead the way. As the adults began to gather materials for the flower crowns, Mary watched Jenna ease into the fold. She had gathered wildflowers herself, remnants of a backyard once laden with happy memories. Slowly, the barriers began to dissolve as Emily delightedly guided Jenna on how to weave the blooms together. Mary found her gaze drawn to Karen, who was now exchanging ideas with Jacob about the perfect arrangement of pumpkins. It was an encouraging scene, one that felt like progress, unexpected yet filling her with hope. Yet as the laughter bubbled up, Mary's heart still beat unevenly. The gathering meant more than decorations or games. It was an opportunity to heal wounds buried beneath smiles and polite interactions. Deep down, she could feel her own scars throbbing, urging her to articulate the unsaid. Do we really know each other? I mean, underneath all these preparations. The thought slipped from her lips before she could stop it. The others paused, surprised. Life can get busy. We forget to really talk, Karen replied thoughtfully. But there was a slight tremble in her voice, suggesting that the weight of her own experience was never too far behind. Jenna's eyes reflected a deeper understanding. I've felt it too. I thought I could handle things alone, but it only pushed me away from everyone. The children continued to weave flowers, but it all felt different now. It was as if the adult conversations came together to form a tapestry of shared experience, stitched with threads of real honesty and vulnerability. As they worked side by side, Mary felt something shift within her. Could they truly dig deeper and embrace their collective pasts? Would the gathering lift them from isolation, or expose wounds that might never heal? And just as fear began to creep in again, Emily declared, "Look. I made mine a crown for the queen." Laughter erupted from the group, shattering the tension, but in the corner of her mind, the questions loomed even larger. Underneath this festive spirit, could they forge a real connection? Or would the weight of their histories cast a shadow on the joys shared today? As dusk settled, the barn glowed with anticipation. Mary glanced at the gathered group, her heart racing with uncertainty. Maybe the real celebration would be not just in the games, but in the truths still waiting to be uncovered. What would it reveal about each of them when they pulled those truths from the darkness? Could healing truly come from this gathering? The atmosphere in the barn felt electric, a mix of laughter, light, and unspoken worries floating just beneath the surface. As they continued crafting flower crowns, Mary felt a twinge of anxiety wrap around her heart. The air buzzed with the scent of fresh blooms, yet the flowers couldn't mask the deeper truths lingering just beyond their reach. Jenna's fingers worked delicately as she braided the stems, glancing over at Mary. "I know we're all here for the gathering," she started, her voice soft yet determined, "but I want us to be honest. To be real." "You're right," Karen agreed, a hint of vulnerability in her tone that made the room feel smaller. "How can we celebrate if we don't acknowledge what's really happening in our lives?" The laughter of the children faded slightly as the adults leaned in, drawn into a circle that shifted from mere activity to a deeper conversation. Jacob looked around, searching for words. "We've all faced our battles. Each of us has a story, and maybe it's time we shared them. What's the point of getting closer if we leave our truth behind?" As silence claimed the group, Mary gathered her thoughts, her heart pounding in her chest. "I guess I've been holding back. After everything that happened last year, it felt easier to smile and pretend things were fine." Soft nods filled the circle. Each sharing moment served as an invitation to peel back layers they had been careful to keep intact. Jenna shifted, her voice trembling. "I lost touch, thinking I was protecting myself. But I realized I was only isolating myself further. I missed you all." Mary's breath hitched at the fragility of Jenna's confession. She saw the rawness in her eyes, a reflection of her own struggles. It stirred something deep within. "Me too," she admitted, the words spilling out. "I thought if I stayed away, it would hurt less. But I felt so alone." Karen's voice broke into a comforting warmth. "We've all been carrying our burdens quietly. I thought I was the only one who feared that reaching out might only make matters worse." A glimmer of light in Jacob's eyes caught Mary's attention. "Imagine if we could be that support for each other, a community not just for the kids but for ourselves too. Real connections." With every word, the perceived distance between them seemed to shrink. The act of opening up bound them together, creating a thread stronger than before. In that moment, Mary caught sight of Emily, who was trying to fit a series of flowers onto her crown. "Look, Mom, I almost forgot this one," Emily called out, her voice bright and carefree. The innocence of her youth drew everyone's gaze, reminding them of the joy that could come from vulnerability. Suddenly, they were all inspired. Jenna leaned forward, grinning. "Let's make a pact. We'll be there for the kids, but we'll also let them see us." All of us. The messy parts too. Can we promise to keep sharing? Absolutely, Mary said, her heart swelling with renewed hope. This gathering could be more than just activities. This could be a beginning. The adults exchanged glances, and something unspoken settled between them, a commitment to embrace their truths. As the last rays of sunlight trickled through the barn windows, they felt lighter. The openness ricocheted through the room, sparking heavy conversations mingled with laughter and stories waiting to be told, but just then, the door swung open with a jolt. A figure appeared, someone they hadn't expected. The room buzzed with surprise, and Mary's heart dropped as apprehensive silence filled the space. What could they do now? Could they maintain this newfound closeness in the face of the unknown? The figure stood in the doorway, backlit by the fading sun, casting a long shadow across the barn. It was Tom, Mary's estranged brother, the source of her unresolved hurt. She felt her breath hitch, her heart racing as memories flooded back, arguments, misunderstandings, and the years of silence that had followed. "Hey," Tom said, his voice cautiously sliding into the stunned air, "is this a bad time?" Mary's stomach twisted, and she glanced around at her friends. Jenna's eyebrows furrowed in concern while Jacob's eyes narrowed slightly. The openness they had just crafted together felt like it hung by a thread, and now it threatened to unravel. "I didn't expect anyone to be here," he added quickly, stepping further inside, the old boards creaking beneath his weight. Mary's mind raced. What did he want? Why now? She felt vulnerable, exposed after sharing her soul with the group only moments earlier. The secrets nestled in her heart were on the verge of spilling out again. Could she bear to face him when she had just begun to acknowledge her pain? "Tom," she finally said, her voice faltering, "why are you here?" I came to see how you were doing," he replied, his gaze flickering to the flower crowns scattered across the table, then back to her. "I've been thinking about you a lot lately. I'm sorry I haven't reached out." Silence wrapped around the barn like a heavy blanket. Mary noticed that the others were watching with bated breath, waiting for a reaction. She felt the weight of their collective support, yet her heart battled the memories of resentment. The last time they had spoken had ended in a fight over trivial things that had blown up into something monumental. "It's been a long time, Tom," Mary said, struggling to hold her ground. "After everything, things got out of hand." "I know that now," he interjected, hurt glimmering in his eyes. "But I want to fix this. To be a part of your life again. Can we talk?" A flicker of hope ignited in her chest, mingled with doubt. Could he really change? Was it worth the risk to open her heart again? Tom's presence felt both familiar and foreign, too close and painfully distant. Jenna broke the thick silence, stepping forward cautiously. "This gathering was meant to be about connection, right? Maybe this can be part of that." Mary looked at Jenna, her warm encouragement sparking a flicker of bravery within her. But could they sustain this new bond when ghosts of the past stood between them? "Okay," she said softly, her voice steadying as she took a step closer to Tom. "Let us talk." The atmosphere felt charged again, swirling with the weight of unspoken truths and possibilities. Tom's eyes brightened slightly, relief pouring over his features, but Mary's heart raced as she considered what this conversation could lead to. As they began to speak, the group of friends remained close, a supportive background for whatever awkward, hesitant words might rise between them. Mary could feel their presence rooted stones beneath her shaking feet, just as she was now standing on shaky ground. In that charged moment, she could sense the tide turning, the threads of connection pulling tighter. But as Tom opened his mouth, ready to speak, she felt her resolve waver. Could she truly embrace this chance for reconciliation? And if she did, what might it mean for the promises she'd just made to herself and her friends? Just then, the sound of a child's laughter broke through the tension, drawing their focus away and hinting at the easy joy they'd all yearned for. Would this moment lead to closure, or would it spiral deeper into unresolved hurts? Mary's heart hung in the balance, the next words lingering in the air like a question waiting to be answered. Would opening old wounds lead to healing, or would it all fall apart again? Tom swallowed hard, and the silence between them stretched, laden with history. Mary could see the tension in his shoulders, an ache of regret that mirrored her own uncertainty. She blinked away the sudden rush of tears that threatened to spill. They were no longer just siblings, they were also strangers standing in the shadow of their past. "Mary," Tom began but faltered, the words tangling in his throat like weeds in a garden. "I didn't mean for things to get so out of hand. The last time we talked I was stubborn, angry." His voice dropped, almost a whisper. "I missed you. And I'm sorry for everything that happened." Mary's heart twisted. Those words opened a door she hadn't expected, but her apprehension held her back. "You think saying you're sorry can fix it all?" she replied, her tone sharper than she intended. It was hard to forget the hurt, to erase the years spent apart. "No, I don't," he replied quickly, the guilt painting his face. "But it's a start. I just want a chance to show you that I can be better. That I can be your brother again if you'll let me." The air grew thick, the only sound the rustle of the wind outside. Mary looked at her friends, their faces a mix of encouragement and concern. She felt them rooting for her. Yet, the vision of what they could rebuild together seemed frail beside the weight of what had crumbled. "What do you want from me, Tom?" she asked, trying to keep the tremor out of her voice. "I want to understand. I want to know how I hurt you," he said, desperation tightening his words. "I want to hear everything, the things I missed while I was caught up in my own world." With those words, something shifted within her. The yearning for connection, something she had buried deep in the dark corners of her heart, nudged at the edges of her hesitation. It felt both terrifying and promising. "Do you even realize how much pain you caused?" Mary replied, her anger surfacing like a dormant volcano. "I felt alone. It was like losing a piece of myself every day that went by without you." His eyes flickered with alarm. "I know I can't change the past. But I need you to know that I regret it. You were always there for me, and I just disappeared. I want to make amends." Mary assessed him, searching for any hint of insincerity, but all she found was raw emotion shining through his gaze. Could reconciliation be built on these fragile words? "Still, it's hard for me to trust again," she murmured, the hesitation rooted in her every conviction. Jenna stepped closer, offering a supportive nod, her presence a tangible reminder of the warmth they had all cultivated here. "Trust takes time, Mary," she said softly. "It's okay to feel what you're feeling. It's not going to happen overnight." With that, Mary felt the smallest glimmer of hope break through the walls she had erected so carefully. Perhaps this was the first step towards something transformative. Maybe they could navigate this complicated territory together. "Okay," she finally said, her voice more resolved. "But if we're going to do this, we need to be completely honest. No holding back." "Absolutely," Tom agreed, a surge of relief washing over him. "I'm ready. Whatever it takes." But as their eyes locked in that moment of understanding, the specter of situations long unaddressed hovered nearby. They were not the only ones affected by the rift. Jacob's voice cut through, tinged with unexpected gravity. "Just remember, Mary. This is a risk, one that could take you back to places you've fought to escape. You need to be certain you want this." Mary nodded, the gravity of the decision weighing down her resolve. With every choice came uncertainty, and opening her heart could mean confronting fears she'd buried for so long. Was she ready to dig into those old wounds? Could healing really begin with uncertainty? As she opened her mouth to respond, the barn door suddenly swung wide, a rush of wind sweeping in leaves and dust, scattering their careful words. Each jarring gust felt like a warning, a sign that this journey could lead them to places they hadn't anticipated. Would she find empowerment in this confrontation, or would she risk letting the past drown her once more? Tom took a deep breath, visible uncertainty breaking the moment. But he gathered himself, straightening up as if the weight of the past had somehow become lighter. "Mary, I really want to hear everything no matter how hard it is. Mary's heart raced, caught in turmoil. She glanced at Jenna and Jacob, watching intently, their eyes brimming with concern, but also advocacy. The truth hung in the air, heavy and electric. Would she open the floodgates of her anger and grief? "All right," she said finally, her voice quaking. "But you have no idea what you're asking for." "I need to know," he insisted softly. "Do you remember that summer when Dad got sick?" Mary asked, her voice barely above a whisper. A wave of pain washed over her, suffocating and biting. "When everything started falling apart. You disappeared while I was trying to hold everything together. You just left." Tom flinched. The memory was a ghost that haunted them both. "I thought I was giving you space. I didn't want to be a burden." "Space?" Mary interrupted, an edge creeping into her voice. "I was drowning. Alone. It felt like you walked away from me and everything we had. I didn't just lose a brother, I lost a lifeline." His eyes spoke volumes, rife with remorse and understanding. "I didn't know," he murmured. "I really didn't. I was so wrapped up in my own struggles that I failed to see yours." Silence followed, thick and resonant. Tom looked down, seemingly grappling with the enormity of his actions. Mary wanted to hate him, to cling to the bitterness that had protected her over the years. But as the seconds ticked by, she felt something give way inside her. "I felt invisible," she confessed, the walls of her heart beginning to crumble. "Like my grief didn't matter. You had your own problems, and mine became just noise. I tried so hard to keep the family together, but when you turned away, it felt hopeless." Tom's features softened, guilt washing over him like a tide. "I never wanted to hurt you. You're my sister. I wanted to protect you, but instead I hurt you worse." The accusation lingered in the air, raw and heavy. Mary's fingers trembled as she clenched her fists to steady herself. "Every day felt like a test. I learned to smile and pretend everything was fine, but nothing felt fine. Inside, I was crushed. I can't change the past, but I promise to do better," Tom said, emotion cracking his voice. "Let's make this work. I want to be there for you, this time. No more running away." Mary studied him, searching for dishonesty, but she found only a man who was wrestling with his own shame. "And what if you fail again? What if you can't be there like you say? Then I'll fight even harder to prove that I can be better." "I mean it," he replied earnestly, his gaze locked onto hers. Jenna stepped forward, a warmth in her eyes. "You both deserve a chance to heal. But it has to come from both sides. No more hiding." Mary felt a swell of lightness mingling with her doubt. Did she dare hope? Could she really allow this man back into her heart? He had broken it once. "Let's take it slow," she finally offered, her voice steadying. "But I need to know you won't go silent again." "I promise I'll keep talking," he vowed, the sincerity echoing around them. As they stood there, the gusts of wind outside intensified, rattling the barn. An ominous omen, but inside, a flame flickered. But what about their family's shadow? Would this slow path to forgiveness unveil hidden rifts that could threaten more than just their relationship? Just then, the door creaked again, and a figure stepped in, silhouetted by the remaining daylight, a familiar face, one they had both hoped never to face. As it stepped closer, dread surged within Mary. Could this creeping figure unravel everything they had just begun to rebuild? Mary felt a chill race down her spine as she recognized the newcomer. It was Karen, an awkward tension sparking between them like static electricity. The vibrant warmth they'd cultivated in the barn felt suddenly fragile. "What is going on?" Karen's voice rippled with uncertainty, as she stepped into the room, the door lingering open as if unsure whether to stay or leave, the air thickened with unspoken words. Mary felt the eyes of her friends dart between her and Tom. "Karen, wait," she began, her heart pounding. "I can explain." "Explain what?" That you're standing here with him, after everything? Karen's voice crackled with hurt and disbelief. After all this time? Tom opened his mouth to speak, but Mary held up a hand, drawing strength from the understanding that Karen deserved honesty too. They had all been living in a cloud of hurt for far too long. This is Tom. He is my brother. We've been working on some unfinished business. I didn't expect you to come in like this. Karen took a breath, and the emotion in her expression shifted. You're working on unfinished business? Then why didn't you invite me to be part of that? The pain in her voice resonated with that same longing for connection. It ignited Mary's determination. Because I was scared. I didn't know how to bring us together. I thought I should fix my relationship with Tom first, Mary admitted, the words spilling out as she gestured toward Tom, who nodded. But I realize now that we all need this. A silence swept over the barn. Everyone stood still, waiting for the next move, waiting for the storm to pass or thunder to rumble. Karen's gaze softened as she looked between Mary and Tom. Do you really think that talking things out will help? With everything that has happened? I do, Mary replied, taking a step toward Karen, reaching out with all the honesty she could muster. I want us to heal together. I need you to understand that I truly miss you, and having you in this family means everything. Let us talk, let us open up about all the hurts we've swept aside. Karen's eyes glistened with unshed tears, the fight seeming to fade. You're right. I've felt like everything deteriorated because of my struggles with how things changed. I was so angry, but I realize now that anger kept us apart when what we really needed was connection. Tom interjected softly, I should have reached out when I saw you struggling, Karen. You didn't deserve to feel alone either. They shared a look that spoke volumes, the understanding passing through them like a gentle wave. Emily, oblivious to the heaviness, interrupted with a bright smile and her flower crown perched proudly on her head. Can we get back to making crowns, or do grown-ups have to talk forever? Her innocent voice broke the tension, and laughter bubbled up, cutting through doubts and fears. Mary couldn't help but smile at Emily, who reminded her so vividly of the reasons for this transformation. What should we do next, my royal planner? She teased, hand on her hip. Maybe we can make a crown for each person here. Emily declared, clapping her hands. And we can each say one thing we love about everyone. Now that's a great idea. Can we make flower crowns to symbolize family, connection, and love? Jacob suggested, his eyes sparkling with excitement. With that, the adults leaned in, the air thick with anticipation but laced with hope. They began exchanging stories as they wove flowers together, expressing gratitude and love to one another. As Mary created a crown, she felt Karen slide a little closer. I'm sorry I shut you out, Mary. I thought you were just trying to erase the pain. Mary nodded, feeling her own heart soften. And I'm sorry for not inviting you into my journey of healing. You and our family matter to me, Karen. Tom, now constructing his own crown, gave a gentle laugh. Can someone get me flowers for the best-looking brother? The laughter cascaded around the barn, rich and joyful. As they shared stories and crowns began to take shape, Mary felt the shadows of the past slowly lifting. The ghosts still lingered, but they felt less daunting. Together. Here, amidst shared blooms and laughter, healing began to blossom. By the time the crowns were complete, each member of their newfound circle wore a crown vibrant with color and spirit. Mary noticed the way their hearts seemed to thrum with life. Children's laughter echoed around the barn, mingling with hopeful adult laughter as they exchanged heartfelt affirmations for each other. I love how you always bring joy wherever you go, Jacob said to Emily, adjusting her crown gently. I love how you came back, Tom, Karen told him, voice soft yet firm in conviction. You surprised me, but I want our family to be complete again. Mary's heart soared, knowing some tough conversations laid ahead but convinced now that they could navigate the waters together. The path wasn't so clear, but it felt promising as the chatter continued to swirl around them, the community they had built intertwining with the love they were now reclaiming. As the evening sky darkened outside, the barn glowed with the light of the relationships revived, a sanctuary of connections forged anew. They may not be perfect, but for the first time in a long while, they were united, with laughter hanging tenderly in the air. Mary lifted her crown high, others mimicking her. To family. To love. To healing. To family. They echoed back, voices bold and bright. As the spirit of community blended with kinship, Mary knew this was only the beginning. They were all embarking on the journey to mend their fractured relationships and discover what it truly meant to embrace one another. The road ahead might be daunting, and shadows would still flicker, but they would face each challenge together, shoulder to shoulder, just as families should. Now, the time is yours. Hit that subscribe button now. You need to join our amazing community for more exclusive stories like this one. Leave a like, it's the best way to feed the algorithm and keep this content alive. Share your thoughts in the comments, I want to hear your reactions and feelings about this ending. And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to witness this beautiful transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Let us spread the hope.